All right, let's go to our pal Jason La Canfora. He's on the line, Radio.com Sports NFL Insider. Insider Calls brought to you by the Dell Technologies Small Business Conference podcast series launching May 1st on Radio.com. Jason, what's going on?
Hey, how's it going?
We're doing great. We're just talking about the whole quarterback thing. It happens every year, right? All of a sudden, guys that you didn't think that highly of during the regular season in college football, now they're throwing them in as potential first-rounders. Hell, some of them now moving up potentially maybe into the top 5 or 6, which just seems crazy.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think especially in this year where you don't have the visits to the teams and you don't have the ability to work guys out, you don't have owners whining and dining with these kids, you just go back to the film. And I understand there's an injury, but I also, doctors aren't lying about what Tua is cleared to do and what he's not cleared to do. Like, doctors aren't lying about the medical reports. Doctors aren't lying about what they see when they evaluate him. And when you couple where he is right now with what he did on film the last few years, to me, you're overthinking it. You're getting too cute. You're outsmarting yourself if you're thinking Herbert or Love or whomever is a better quarterback than him. But this is an inexact science, and this is the silly season in the NFL when everybody's got a theory about everything and everybody's got, an idea about everything. And, we'll see what actually happens. But this, I'm with you. This is pretty ridiculous to me.
What are you hearing in regards to just the quarterbacks in general, outside of Burrow, because Burrow's going 1. But what are you hearing in terms of what teams like with Tua, Herbert, Love, et cetera?
Yeah, I think that everything I've heard is that the guy who the Dolphins are most intrigued with is actually Jordan Love. Now, they're not taking him at 5, and they might not have the huevos to wait and take him at 18 or move up from 18 to do it. But that's the guy who I hear that they are kind of most in love with. I don't think they're Herbert fans much at all, and I think they like Tua, but they do have concerns about the hip. So is it possible that they take a blue-chip guy up top and then figure the quarterback thing out? It is. I think it's a dangerous, risky game to be playing, but they might be willing to play it. The Chargers are taking a quarterback. I think they're just waiting to see what happens in front of them. I don't get the sense that they're motivated to move up. They think they're going to get, one of the, they're going to have a shot at Tua or Herbert, maybe both, at 6. So they're going to stay there. I don't rule the Raiders out in terms of getting involved in this thing one way or the other. If a certain quarterback is there, particularly if Tua got out of the top 10, I think John Gruden breaks his fall. I think the Patriots are in this as well. I know they've done a lot of work on all these kids. And, if let's say Miami does take Tua and then let's say the Chargers take Herbert, Jordan Love, I'm not sure he gets past the Patriots at 23. The Saints wouldn't shock me if they took a quarterback. And then there's always the idea of somebody moves up from the second round to the late one in order to get the 5th-year option on a quarterback and do what Elway did for Paxton Lynch or do what the Ravens did for Lamar Jackson and you go get, in this case, the 5th quarterback in the draft. Some years it'd be the 4th. And get your 5 years of control on them and take them in the first round.
Jason, it seemed like, 3 or 4 months ago, whenever it was, when the Skins secured their second pick, that they'd have a tremendous amount of leverage, that people would want that if they decided they wanted to move down. Now it seems like it's dead. Certainly that no one's going to move up to take a quarterback there. I mean, Chase Young is a great consolation prize, if you want to call him that. But there's really no chance of them trading out of that, is there?
Not much. I mean, I think if a deal of that magnitude, a sort of reverse RG3 deal was going to materialize, I think it already would have, in the same way that deal with the Skins and the Rams was done well before the draft took place. So, I think it is what it is with them. Not a whole lot of drama, not a whole lot of intrigue. the quarterback market was not what some thought it might be. And I think at least some of that had to do with the ridiculous free agency and trade quarterback market that was out there, where there's so much availability. Like, why am I going to give a boatload of picks up to move 3 spots to take a quarterback? I could go sign Cam Newton for 1 year, $10 million if I really wanted to right now. You know what I mean? And have all kinds of roster flexibility. So, yeah, I think they take Young and they call it a win, and they plug yet another high-end draft piece into that front 7, and they expect, they should expect and do expect to have a top 10 defense. And with all the draft capital they've put in that side of the ball, they better.
Joined by Radio.com Sports NFL insider Jason La Canfora, brought to you by the Dell Technologies Small Business Podference podcast series launching May 1st on Radio.com. Jason, I'm checking out your column on CBSSports.com. The 20 prospects sure to hear their names called on day one in the wide receiver class. I'm very intrigued by Henry Ruggs' ascendance up the draft board. I've seen some mocks having him go like 15 overall to the Broncos. That'll be a nice piece to give Drew Lock in year 2. Talk about him and the rest of the wide receivers you have a first-round grade on.
Yeah, I mean, I have 4 there. I think more than 4 will go, but the problem becomes identifying the absolute 5th guy, the absolute 6th guy. There's a lot of beauty in the eye of the beholder there. But yeah, I mean, look, most people I talk to think it's between, Lamb and Judy as to who the best receiver is in this class. That's sort of the 1A and 1B. When I talk to general managers who aren't going to be picking one of those guys, who aren't necessarily taking a receiver in the first round, but who obviously evaluate all these kids. And that's who I try to talk to in these scenarios, because they don't have a dog in the fight. They lean towards those 2, but I think Ruggs is a bad consolation prize at all. And you look at who's picking between 11 and 15, there's going to be a run on wide receivers there. Jefferson, I continue to hear, is somebody who the Eagles are incredibly intrigued by, and that's in part why I've got him, clustered with those other sort of big 3. But then after that, I mean, it might be Mims, it might be the kid from Clemson, it might be Jalen Reagor, it might be Brandon Ayuk. I mean, it's so deep. I really like the kid out of USC. Somebody might get him late 2nd round. He might be as good as any of them when it's all said and done. I'm incredibly intrigued to see how this run plays out and when that second run on receiver starts. My hunch is it's day 2. My hunch is it's closer to 5 than 10 that go in the first round, but we'll see.
All right, so
as we're talking about wide receivers, can you fill us in on what's going on with Odell Beckham Jr.? Is that legit that the Browns are looking to trade him or not?
I mean, could he be traded? Sure, he just was, a year ago. So I don't rule anything out when it comes to that stuff. But they're not marketing him all over the league. They're not pushing to trade him the way Jacksonville is trying to unload a Leonard Fournette. I think it's way more likely than not that he's back with the Browns, because they'd be selling low right now. He's injured. You can't. He's coming off a surgery. It's not a major surgery, but still, it's a procedure. You can't evaluate him right now. You can't bring him in your building and give him the full physical the way you'd like to. And he's coming off, for him, his worst season in the NFL. Wasn't a bad season, but I don't see the Browns selling low on him right now. I think they want to add a left tackle at 10, or if they can trade down and add a left tackle, all the better. The rest of that offense they feel like is there and ready to take off. I don't see them taking weapons away from Baker Mayfield unless somebody knocks their socks off. And I don't think anyone's going to knock their socks off right now.
So, Jason, let's talk about 3, because that's where you say the draft starts. I agree with you, because Burrow and Young are locks, I think, at 1 and 2. But 3 is interesting because Detroit, they could stay there and take a DB or take, Brown or someone, or Isaiah Simmons, or they could trade out. Apparently, you're reporting Atlanta is interested possibly in trading up because they really like C.J. Henderson out of Florida. What do you think happens there at 3? And then 4? I think 4 with the Giants, I would assume they take a left tackle. But, at 3 and 4, what do you think happens there?
I mean, 3 really wants to trade, but I don't know who's coming up. I think Atlanta is more likely to move to 10, where I just mentioned the Browns, and the Browns are definitely open for business because they're sitting there saying, well, we could get a tackle 14, 15, or 16. We could probably still get one of the same guys. So would Atlanta move up? Would the Broncos move up to get to the head of the wide receiver class to take their guy? I don't know about Atlanta going all the way to 3. I don't know about anybody going to 3. As much as the Lions are motivated sellers and might take a discount to move down, we talked about the quarterbacks, and I don't get the sense that there's a lot of jam there right now with teams trying to move up for a quarterback. I mean, could somebody move up for Brown or move up for Simmons or Okudah or Henderson? I guess they could. I'm not sure they're going to. And at the end of the day, I just keep going back to they just traded one of their best players to the Eagles for 3 and a 5, and he was a corner. So I think the GM may win that thing there in the end if they can't trade out and they just take Okudah. But that's certainly where things get interesting. With the Giants, they really are infatuated with Simmons. I don't think that's a luxury they can afford right now, though. They took the quarterback a little bit high last year. Some would say overdrafted. They've got major offensive line issues and have forever. I keep hearing Tristan Wirfs to the Giants.
Right. Do you think Simmons, if he's available at 7 to Carolina, is a lock they take him there?
Well, the thing is, it could be Simmons and Brown, both available. And in that case, I'm not sure that either's a lock because they're incredibly intrigued by both players. My hunch, my lean, is that they just go with the defensive tackle because I think Marty, Hurney is sort of steeped in sort of the tried and true old school stuff in the NFL, which is you can't go wrong taking a lineman. And as exciting of a prospect as Simmons is, there's some risk there. I mean, moderate risk, but some risk in terms of what exactly is he, and are we going to unlock him to the best of his ability? And is he a middle linebacker? Is he really a safety? How much of a Swiss Army knife is he? And, and does he have one natural position where you get Brown, you know exactly what you're getting?